everyone, and welcome to Retirement Ready TV, where we go in depth on all things retirement related. What does it take to make a successful and fulfilling retirement? And what are some of the mistakes that you can avoid? I'm Michelle Davidson, and with me today are Tim and Laura Schultz of Preservation Retirement Services right here in Northeast Ohio, who have helped so many people realize their retirement dreams for so many years. And we are actually in their home, their beautiful home.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
We always say we think of our clients as family. That's true. We get to know them really well as we build their customized retirement-ready roadmap that we thought we'd treat you viewers the same way and invite you into our house. So we're shooting here.
I think we got a picture of Grandma behind.
Yeah, we get to know you actually by seeing all the things. I love it. Okay, so today we're taking a step back and talking about the basics of retirement planning. Doesn't it make sense to have a solid foundation when you're making your retirement plan?
Absolutely. When everybody comes into our office for the first meeting, we call it our Retirement Ready Review. Whether it's in our North Olmsted or Beechwood office, it all comes down to that foundation, right? We talk about building that money house or a fiscal house, and starts out with the foundation, right? And Laura, the foundation of a house isn't really the sexiest part of the house, is it?
Yeah, if you built a house yourself, you probably weren't like, ooh, the foundation. Yeah. It's a big hole. It's got some cement, some rebar.
Great,
but
yeah.
Doesn't look so exciting, but it is the most important part of the house.
It is.
Your granite countertops, your beautiful window treatments, your lights, your fireplace, none of that matters if your foundation isn't solid. The same is true when it comes to your retirement plan, particularly that last 10 years that you're working, that first 10 years of retirement. We need to hone in and solidify your foundation, that part of your retirement house where we're going to draw income that provides safety and security. That's a piece we really need to start thinking about that maybe we've kind of neglected before that. The foundation is where it all starts. Otherwise, the rest of your money house could crumble, and we don't want that in retirement.
The foundation is so important in somebody's retirement account. It's so important, in fact, that it has to do with the D in our roadmap, D, distributing income.
And in income and retirement, a lot of people don't want it to be sexy.
Yeah.
They just want it to be stable. They want to make sure that they have a paycheck just like they do now. The best thing about your job probably is you get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We want retirement income to be the same thing. Not sexy or scary, just every 2 weeks
Right.
you have money coming in.
Consistent.
Pay your bills.
Yeah, it's not that stock that you buy, it goes from 2,000 up to 20,000 and you're so happy and you tell your friends, but you don't tell them when it goes back down to 2,000 the next week. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just consistent paychecks coming in, income to get you through retirement.
That's what the foundation's all about.
Cool.
I feel like we're going to have a great show today. Before we get started in all of that, I first want to mention, we of course have your favorite segment coming up.
We do. The Retirement Ready Light Board, I'm going to talk about building a money house, a fiscal house. I'm going to try to draw this thing out for you.
And a segment that is geared toward the women in our audience.
Yes, in our Women Get Retirement Ready, we're going to talk about the foundation of a family retirement plan. If you're somebody that maybe got married later in life and came to your marriage with a financial plan and a financial planner, how do you navigate that together as a couple?
Okay. And then we got a cool news segment.
Annuities can do what?
Annuities can do what?
I'm going to talk about the myth of you losing control of your money when you get an annuity. I'm going to explain it.
Okay. Now back to our topic today. And it's going to be interesting because it seems like it's never too late to, course correct, right the ship. Yeah. Is that true?
So true.
It is true. Obviously, the earlier, the better. Yeah. We love working with clients in their, early, mid, late 50s because it gives us a larger runway to retirement. Sure. But even clients that are already retired, it's never too late to rethink your retirement plan. Yeah. Do you have a diversified portfolio? If you haven't paid taxes yet, what can you do to minimize them? We can think proactively no matter where you are on that road to retirement.
Get that second opinion we always talk about. When they come in to see us, our Retirement Ready Review, that's the first visit we have with everybody. We get to start thinking differently, Laura. Start thinking about taxes and distributing income, right? And we talk about how pensions factor into it. And maybe Social Security. Do you have a plan yet? There's so many things that people need to think about, probably for the first time.
That's true. What we find, Tim, is I always ask people, if you're working with an advisor, are they using all the tools in their tool belt, right? Because as retirement planners, we have not just stocks and mutual funds and annuities, not just financial products to work with. There's so many other aspects of a retirement plan. Are they putting on their tax planning hat and thinking, how can we keep the most money legally in your family's pocket as possible? Are they thinking about legacy, not just how your assets are allocated today, but how are they set to pass to your heirs? And is that the way you want to? What about long-term care? What about market volatility? All these things, we joke in our office, in our North Olmsted office, we have a crystal ball that sits on the table. We always say it doesn't necessarily work. So
it hasn't flared up in a while, to be honest.
We don't
wish
know
it did.
exactly when those things are going to happen, but we know a lot of them are. Statistically speaking, people will need long-term care at some point in their life. There is going to be a market downturn in the future. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Taxes are, with 99.9% certainty, going to go up. Are these aspects of retirement planning something your financial advisor is working with you on right now? Or are they just saying, oh, your rate of return last year was 10%? Just focusing on your money growing in the investment piece. There's so many more tools. And on top of that, are they an independent advisor?
So true.
Do they have both insurance and money in the market products? Can they provide you a true holistic retirement plan? Those are important questions.
Yeah, accumulation is so important, but we specialize in distribution, right? We come in at the end, think of like passing that baton, we always say, right? When you're approaching retirement or in retirement, there's just things that you need to think about for the first time, and it's kind of can be really scary.
And it's not that your current advisor has done something wrong. They just specialize in something different. They're focused on growing your money. Tim named the company Preservation Retirement Services because at some point when folks reach the peak of their accumulation, they're more concerned with keeping what they have, spending it down efficiently and wisely, as opposed to growing it as quickly as possible. Those needs change, those goals change. That's why we spend a lot of time asking questions to our clients and listening to find out what is important to them.
What she said.
I love that big picture approach. It is amazing. You are right. Okay, so let's take a quick break right now. But when we come back, we'll go into more of the basics of retirement planning. We'll be right back.
Just living the dream right now.
Yeah, that's the one thing we really want to do is travel and adventure in our retirement. And we weren't even sure before what we'd be able to do. But after partnering with Tim and Laura, it's like, okay, we're good. Tim and Laura were able to visually show us where it would go and how it would grow. We'd be able to actually have fun and leave a legacy for the kids. Everything that they do is, pinpointed to us.
Preservation Retirement Services. Get retirement ready. Call today.
And we're back with Retirement Ready TV with Tim and Laura Schultz of Preservation Retirement Services right here in Cleveland. And today's conversation is about the basics of retirement planning and how these principles work, even for people who have saved millions. And good for you, first of all, if you have. It seems like wealthier people out there wouldn't need as much help, but that's not actually true.
That's not actually true. We are very blessed. We have a lot of affluent clients here at Preservation Retirement Services. And those that have a wonderful portfolio, they really are concerned a lot about taxes and legacy. And it's something that they think about all the time.
Many of these folks are concerned about building generational wealth. They are very concerned about taxes, as Tim said. And particularly if you have millions and millions saved, one thing a lot of our clients, our more affluent clients, haven't thought about is what's called their required minimum distribution.
That's a big one.
If they have millions of dollars saved in a 401k, a 403b, a traditional IRA, tax-deferred retirement accounts, and maybe they don't need a lot of money in retirement, Social Security covers it or a pension covers it, nonetheless, the government is going to make you start taking out that money at 4%. So if you don't really need income in retirement and you have $2 million saved in your IRA, you're going to have a huge required minimum distribution. A lot of folks don't want that. So we can use tax-efficient strategies, potentially doing Roth conversions over time to help minimize that. That's just one of the concepts. Sometimes life insurance can be a really valuable tool for our higher net worth clients to build a tax-free legacy for their children or grandchildren.
Yeah, we always say it's their money, right? And we want them to spend it down. We encourage them to spend their money, but we want them to spend it when on their choosing, not when the government makes them do it. And that's that required minimum distribution can be a big problem for a lot of the wealthy clients that we have.
Okay, so whether you have $2 million in retirement already saved or you are just kind of trying to figure it out, and you're like, I'm a little behind the game, you can still reach out to Tim and Laura, right? How can they connect with you?
Just call us 440-345-6900. It's been the same number for a long time now.
You can call, leave us a voicemail, or you can text the word READY to that same number, and we'll send you a link to download your very own Retirement Ready toolkit. But just call, text, connect. We'd love to have this conversation with you about how we can help you build your own customized retirement-ready roadmap.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, Tim is going to take us to the Retirement Ready Light Board to illustrate the fundamentals of building your retirement house. And you can even do it through acting it out too. Either way, we'll be right back.
Women have a lot to be proud of. We get a lot done, but too many times we take care of ourselves last. If you're married, there's a good chance you'll outlive your spouse and all the financial decisions will fall to you. If you're single, it will be up to you to fund your entire retirement. That's a lot to carry by yourself. I'm Laura Schultz, and at Preservation Retirement Services, we can help to take some of that off your shoulders. It's time to put yourself first for once. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Welcome to this week's segment of the Retirement Ready Light Board. And in this week's show, Laura and I have been talking a lot about Retirement Planning 101. And in our roadmap that we talk about all the time here at Preservation Retirement Services, the A stands for allocating. And Laura and I were talking allocating. We use these words all the time, and for us, they seem simple, but we understand that sometimes we use words of retirement planning that a lot of people might not quite understand. So I figured we'd break that down today and use an analogy of a house or a money house. So let's start with some magic here. Okay, here we are. We have our fiscal house or our money house, and Laura and I talk about this all the time when people come into Preservation Retirement Services. And as you can see, here's our house. Here's the ground. Got a couple beautiful trees here. So pretty. So in the house, there's a lot of wisdom out there, and I'm sure either you bought a house or you understand the general concepts, how a house is built. And when you begin to build a house, you start with the foundation, right? And the foundation is the first part when you build a house. Okay, here we go. On the foundation, now the foundation component of your fiscal house or your retirement house is your safe money. And we're talking safe money, we're talking about CDs, annuities, fixed and fixed index annuities, and government bonds. These are the type of investments where you cannot lose your principal, we say, unless you choose to lose your principal. Safe investment accounts, that is going to be the foundation of your retirement plan, which eventually will lead into income, which I'll get to in a moment. The second part here has to do with your walls or your insulation. Okay, so the middle of your house, the walls of your house, gives you insulation, right? Especially here in Ohio, where the winter is for 6 months long, right? And the walls in your investment portfolio has to do with insulation. And we're talking about things that go inverse to the market. When the market's going up, they go down, or really more importantly, when the market's going down, they go up. They provide insulation. They provide negative correlation or income for your portfolio. And we're talking about corporate bonds. We're talking about real estate, commodities, and dividend-producing stocks. That's going to be the component of insulation, the walls of your portfolio. Last but not least, the roof is the third component of your retirement house, your fiscal house that we talk about. And the roof, right, in Ohio here, takes all the brunt of the weather, snow, sleet, hail. In retirement, it takes the brunt of what's happening out in the world, right? Geopolitical events, inflation, whatever might be happening. These are your risk accounts, the accounts that can go up when the market goes up, can go down when the market goes down. But these are your growth accounts, right? Your equities, stocks, ETFs, mutual funds. These are the accounts that when the market does very well can go up, but when the market goes down can also go down. But they are a key component of your overall retirement plan. The foundation, though, going back really quick, is key because this is what generates your income at retirement, right? And Laura and I, we kind of reverse engineer how much money somebody might need at retirement if there's that income gap. Remember when somebody retires or gets voluntarily unemployed and there might be an income gap, we can reverse engineer through these safe investments how much money we need to cover that income gap so we can get rid of all anxiety in retirement planning And as long as your fixed expenses are covered by fixed income, then Laura and I, we call that sleepy time retirement, where you can rest peacefully knowing that your expenses are covered. I hope that makes sense. I'll see you next week right here on the Lightboard.
It's time for our segment, Women Get Retirement Ready, where we take a question submitted by one of our female viewers. I know this is very important to you, that you really take the time to listen to everyone, but specifically those women viewers.
Yeah, it just seems like in the financial world out there aren't a lot of people speaking to, or more importantly, listening to women. So at Preservation Retirement Services, we wanted to be that listening ear where women can feel comfortable coming in and asking questions about their finances, getting the answers that maybe they haven't gotten for so many years because they've been too scared to ask the question. You know, the number one fear that we hear from women and men alike, honestly, is, do I have enough money to retire? Am I going to be okay? And I find particularly with my female clients that sometimes they're so scared that the answer to that question is no, I don't have enough. They don't even ask it in the first place. They'd rather not know than hear the answer no. But we want women to ask those questions because oftentimes they're worrying about the wrong thing, right? We have women all the time coming in, I'm like, you're going to be fine. And they're like, I had no idea. But they were just so scared because they weren't able to put all the pieces together on their own. So this segment of the show is just designed so that women can ask whatever question they have, and we can get an answer and just check it off the list. Let's get that check mark.
If you face reality, then you can develop a plan, right? And get back on course.
In those times where the answer is no, you're not quite there yet. You know, we have a little bit more work to do. At least if we know that now, we have that runway to make changes, to save more, to change their risk tolerance, to think about budgeting, whatever the case may be. If we ask the question and get a realistic answer, we can amend the plan accordingly.
All right, let's hear from one of our female viewers, Avery.
Hi, Laura. So my husband and I got married a little later in life, and we already had our own financial advisors. You're mine, of course. But doesn't it make sense for us to get on the same page with one financial advisor?
That's a great question. And this is something we deal with all the time as financial advisors. Just like Avery said, should a male and female, should a husband and wife, should partners have the same financial advisor? And same thing, even a single person, should they use only one advisor or should they have multiple advisors? This is how we think about it at Preservation Retirement Services. The best case scenario is that we manage a family's, all of their accounts. Why is that? It's not just because we want to have control over everything, but that's the way that we can make sure the whole plan is working together in the best way possible, that we're diversified across husband and wife's accounts, that our risk tolerance is where we need to be. If we're income planning, that we can use all of the assets on the table to be able to create that income plan. Taxes are huge. How are we going to deal with taxes and from whose accounts, and are we married filing jointly? So, best case scenario is that both husband and wife use the same financial advisor. But as Avery said, sometimes there is a situation where folks got married later in life. Somebody has a really long relationship with an advisor that they trust and they don't want to change. That's okay too. What we ask at Preservation Retirement Services is if you're working with another advisor, that's fine. But for us to be able to fulfill our job and give you the best advice that we can, we need information about your other accounts. While we're not managing them, we need to know, how are you invested? What stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities are you invested in? Because we cannot, if we're doing a holistic plan for entire family, we cannot do that without understanding what the full financial picture is. We see all different types of families at Preservation Retirement Services, right? We have single clients, both male and female. We have married clients that have been married for 50 years. We have people that have children. We have people that don't have children. And we have those blended families where folks come in later in life. And sometimes they completely handle their finances separately. Husband has one side, wife has one side. And if we're just handling a plan for the wife only, then husband can kind of do his own thing. But it is when you're having that family holistic plan, it becomes more important.
All right, if you have a question at home and you want to ask it and you're not embarrassed, you're not shy, don't worry about it. How can they go about doing that?
It's the same phone number we always give out, 440-345-6900. You can give us a call and leave a voicemail or text the word question to that number and submit your question. Whether you want to be on air, you just want to get your question answered, or you want to sit down for that one-on-one conversation and really talk to me about what's on your mind in retirement, we would love to start that conversation however it looks.
There are no bad questions.
That's right.
Welcome to Annuities Can Do What? We're doing this segment because we found that the conversation of annuities can be quite polarizing. People have very strong opinions about them. Most of the time, it's because of misinformation or just lack of correct knowledge. So I'm here today in this segment every week to demystify annuities, educate, and hopefully share some knowledge with you. Now, before I get into this week's topic, I do want to share some basic annuity information with you. So let's call it Tim's super abbreviated annuity 101 class. Like I do every week, we put up this graph behind us. We call this our annuity spectrum. And Laura and I, we like to use this for our clients to kind of give them an idea of how annuities work. And there's really 3 types of annuities only. There's a bunch of subsections under them. But the 3 types of annuities on the far left is a fixed annuity. A fixed annuity is like a CD on steroids. It's a guaranteed rate of return for a certain predetermined duration. On the far right side is a variable annuity. Now, a variable annuity has the highest fees out of any investment product out there. Your money's in the market, so you can lose it. And it's just has a long surrender period. So believe me, Laura and I believe that money should be in the market, yes, but we would rather have it managed where the fees are less and you don't have to deal with that long surrender penalty that I mentioned. The middle one, the kind of the hybrid of the two that we like, is the fixed index annuity. Most fixed index annuities have no fees. You can never lose any money. So the market goes down, the insurance company covers your losses. But when the market goes up, which we like, you share in the gains with the insurance company by a chosen index that you use. And usually there's a cap. A cap is the ceiling, the best interest rate you can make, depending on how your index does every year. You lock in your gains every year also, which is very important for a fixed index annuity. Now, annuities are not bad. We believe that most of the time they should be a part of your overall retirement plan. Make sure you talk to your retirement planner about that, though. The problem is that there just are so many annuity reps out there and they're overselling them because that's all they're selling. Unlike Preservation Retirement Services, where we offer both insurance solutions and managed money in the market, they're selling the wrong annuity to the wrong person for the wrong purpose. Listen, are annuities perfect? No, of course not. No one investment solution is, but that's why we believe in diversification. The downside is that they're not fully liquid. However, you do have access to typically 10% of your annuity's value each and every year without penalty. Okay, so that being said, let's get into today's topic, which is the myth of losing control of your money. Now, Laura and I talk about this all the time. Why do people think that way? And I think it's because a lot of times in the past, individuals used CDs for that safe money option. And if you use a CD, if you think about it, you do lose control of that money because you don't have access to your money when you use a CD with a bank. But that is one of the best features of a fixed index annuity, is that you do have that free 10% every single year that you can draw funds from if you need it. Remember that. I hope that makes sense. See you next week.
Okay, we've been talking about the foundation of your retirement plan, this foundation analogy, but how much money do we need to go into it?
Well, that's a great question. First thing we need to figure out is, does somebody need income? And that all starts with our retirement ready review, that first visit, that first sit down with that potential client, either at the Beechwood or the North Olmsted office. And that's when we just listen and try to figure out what are their issues.
So let's say somebody has a $2,000 a month income gap, meaning to cover their bills every month, we need to pull $2,000. Tim and I use our proprietary formulas and tools to kind of reverse engineer it and say, we want to put really only the amount of money into the foundation that we need to know that we can generate that $2,000 a month, regardless of what the market is doing, for somewhere around 12 to 15 years. So we use our tools, putting in some assumptions, rates of return, all that good retirement planning stuff. We don't need to need to go into how the sausage is being made necessarily. But the idea is, every part of your retirement house has pros, cons, strings attached, right? Yeah. When we're talking about foundation, and typically we're talking about annuities, because the types of investments that can go in your foundation that are truly safe, fixed or fixed index annuities, government bonds, CDs. We don't have a lot of success getting long-term rates of return with government bonds and CDs that keep up with inflation. So typically we're using an annuity tool there. But we need to figure out, we want to put the smallest amount as we can to generate that income stream, because the downside with annuities, that's what Tim was talking about in his annuities can do what?
That's right.
Segment. I don't say it as good as you. But we were talking about the downside of an annuity, if there is one, is liquidity. You don't have access to all of your money. So we don't want to put too much of a client's portfolio in there. We want most of their money to be in the market, to be growing, to be liquid. But we do want to have that safety net there, that in those years where the market is down, we know we can still get reliable income without dipping into investments at their lowest point. How do we keep that simple for our clients so that they understand it? ROAD.
So talk about the R.
It starts with R, reviewing risks.
Yep.
And that's just what things are on the horizon that we can plan for proactively, that we know are likely to occur during a client's retirement, but we just don't know exactly when. Market volatility, rising taxes, long-term care needs, the death of a spouse. We want to think about those now and have a plan for later when they happen.
Yep. And the O is optimize. And we're talking about optimizing taxes. And that is for someone going through retirement, if Roth conversion makes sense for them, or when they pass away. And it's true. And we're all going to pass. We have to accept this. So when we pass away, how do we want that money to go to our loved ones? Tax-free or taxable? It depends.
A is allocating assets. We've been talking about that a lot today, Tim, too. How are we allocating a client's accounts in different investment tools, whether that be money in the market? We've been talking about the pros and cons of that.
Sure.
Money into a safe money retirement strategy, like a fixed or fixed index annuity, depending on the client's risk tolerance and income needs.
Yep. And the D we've been talking about all day today is distribute. We're talking about distributing income. We talk about this all the time, don't we, Laura? When people are working, your income is here and your expenses are here. And usually you're okay, you're in a surplus. But when you retire or voluntarily unemployed, like we like to say, the income goes away. Don't hate the messenger, right? And then maybe there's Social Security, maybe there's a pension, but you see, there's that income gap. And that has to do with distributing income. We need to know what accounts to pull from to cover that gap. It's so important.
And it's from an investment perspective. That's why we do like to use that annuity tool sometimes for folks that makes sense for. Doesn't matter if the market's up or down, we can pull it from there, but also from a tax perspective.
Exactly.
We got to think about it all. So if someone's thinking about it all at home, can they connect with you?
They sure can. Just give us a call, 440-345-6900.
You can call, you can text the word READY to that number, and we'd be happy to send you a link to download your Retirement Ready Toolkit. But however you do it, we'd love to have this conversation with you. Whether you have an advisor and you don't feel like your advisor is using all the tools in their tool belt, like I said earlier, whether you'd like a second opinion or whether you've been doing it yourself and it's too many things for you to keep track of now, we'd love to be there for you to start that conversation, that Retirement Ready review.
You can go to our website, retirewithprs.com. So many ways to get a hold of us.
It's all about that personalized plan. I think time's up.
Oh,
sadly.
no.
It always goes so fast.
It goes by so fast, but great information. We appreciate you.
Good show today.
And thanks for inviting us into your
Welcome.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.